Hi everyone, Ian here. So in today's video I'm going to be using Github Copilot to solve as many Advent of Code challenges as I can in 10 minutes. And if you're not familiar with it, Advent of Code is a really great challenge for programmers that runs throughout the month of December. There's 25 challenges, each in two parts. Once you've solved the first part, and they're released on a daily basis. So at 12 o'clock, I believe, Eastern Standard Time, they're released, and you can solve each challenge as a speed challenge, or you can solve it just on your own terms. But the programming challenge can be done in any language you desire, and at any time you desire. You can solve all 7 challenges from the first week now if you've not yet started. But yes, I've been doing this in the last few years and I've really enjoyed it. Each one gradually gets more taxing as the month goes on through till Christmas, and I've not actually got through the entire month solving these challenges, so I'm not the world's greatest programmer. Or some of the challenges do become very mathematical, but I do enjoy them, trying to solve them. But what I'm going to do now is try and solve them with GitHub Copilot. So I've already done the first 7 days, so I can show you here on my computer that I have answers to the first 7 days. And so I'm going to try and use GitHub Copilot. And GitHub Copilot, if you're not familiar with it, is a tool that you can enable in Visual Studio Code, which will allow you to get basically a pair programmer, or what they term pair programmer, so helpful hints to or solutions to codes that you're trying to write. And so I'm going to see how many we can get done in 10 minutes with GitHub Copilot. So as you can see, I've already solved the first 7 days challenges. We're on day 8 at the moment. But what I'm actually going to do, the other thing that I've also got is unit tests for each of these. So I know they work based on the examples that have been given from the challenge already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually delete these. I've not had GitHub Copilot on. You can see it over here. It's off the entire time that I've been doing these. And I'm going to write them fresh with GitHub Copilot and see how far we can get. All the challenges are still available to me in Advent of Code. I can look at them and go and refer to them. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And we'll see how far we get. So 10 minutes starting from now. Let's see how many we can solve. Okay, so I'm going to bring up the Advent of Code webpage. Go to day 1, and if I can even remember. So you're inside a submarine. So you get these stories with the Advent of Code, which is nice. And it explains that you need to get 50 gold stars before Christmas. Anyway, collect gold stars by solving puzzles. We know all this. Anyway, we're given a list of numbers. And we're told that these numbers are depths, measurements. And it's asking us to count the number of times a depth measurement increases from previous measurement. So I already have this example in my code. If I go and refer to the data, day 1 example text. So you can see I've already preloaded all this information in. I have an environment with dependencies installed as well. So things like PyTest and I think I have black, but I'm not sure. Let's have a look at pipenv. Yeah, I don't know how much I'm going to be using that. But anyway, I have the example and I have my final input. As you can see, the input is much bigger than the example. Anyway, like I said, we know this. And I have these small commands in the make file. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a file called day1. And hopefully, so I'm now going to switch on GitHub Copilot. and I want to do it globally, I'm using the nightly version because actually that's giving us a couple of extra benefits. It actually explains code to us now as of beginning of this week, I believe. So let's say we start from now, so 2 minutes later than I actually said. So first of all, we want to read in a list of integers from a file. So I'm going to say I'll try and read in a list of integers from a file. And then I'll start defining it. Read file, file name, open, list file. So that looks exactly like what I want. Brilliant. Okay. Then I want to count the number of times the depth measurement increases from the previous measurement. So that's obviously not a hint that we need. Count the number of times a depth measurement increases from previous measurement. Depth. Count increases. Depth list. Okay. So I'm actually going to jump and grab some codes from a previous year, which is just literally defining a static methods, or the main method rather. So let's change this to get data, and let's, because the way I structure these is that I generally have a part 1 answer and a part 2 answer. So if I delete that, so we should be able to run our tests. So what I'm going to do is actually, with the tests that I have for other days, just comment them out. And in fact, let's just comment the whole thing out. I don't even want to define them even. So some of these tests are quite verbose, as you can see. A lot of this prep should have been done before, but there we go. That's where I am. So test A1, get part 1 answer is 7. So from our example, there are exactly 7 measurements that are larger than the previous measurement. Let's see, given that that's the only one, let's bring up my terminal here and change it into the right directory and see if oh, it doesn't like any of my tests. Let's just delete them. That probably would have been the simpler thing. So cannot import day 2 answer, that's fine. And we don't need that. Okay, so the first question is correct. So let's run that. So pipenv run Python day 1, so that I'm using my environment. And it says it should be 1233, the answer. Your puzzle answer was 1233. Brilliant, done. Part 2. Considering there's every single measurement isn't as useful as you expected, there's just too much noise in data. Instead, considering the sums of 3 measurements sliding window. Start by comparing the first and second 3 measurement windows. Their measurements in the first window are marked 199, 200, 208. See, I did this, 7 days ago, and I can't remember a thing about it. So for each one, you're looking at the next 3 lines, basically. So you want a sliding window of the next 3 numbers. Count the number of times the sum of measurements in the sliding window increases. Okay. So count the number of times the sum of measurements in a sliding window increases. So I'll just give it a little bit of help there and change the. There you go. That window size is 2. So I guess that's a diff of, yeah, plus the window size. Let's see if that works. So part 2 answer. Let's first of all test it. See if that gives us. Part 2 answer is not defined because I haven't imported it. Ooh, that's not right. Okay. Okay, so that, let's try that. So just a different suggestion there has actually given us the answer that we need. Let's run the file again, see if we get part 2 answer. So we've got 1199. Your puzzle answer was 1275. That's interesting. The part 2 answer is working. Okay. Actually, let's just scoot through this and just do different ones. Okay, so we can go next and previous with opt. Okay, there we go. Oops. Let's go with that one. See what that gives us. So so this part 2 isn't quite right. So the window size we want to set to 3 because that doesn't appear to be correct. Let's have a look at this. let's try jumping through some other examples. So I'm not sure why this is, so anyway, I'll test day 1. Our input is the same, but we're not getting the correct answer that I got originally. So there's something up with this code, that there are 5 sums that are larger than the previous sum. And the only way we're probably really going to find this out is by stepping through the code and figuring it out. So why does that go to -1 there? Because I+1. So we're over 10 minutes now. So yeah, we haven't yet solved a problem. So perhaps wishful thinking that we would. Correct that. So what I might do is just print these out so we can debug it. Yay! See if these windows are what the example is showing. And we probably want to turn that off because otherwise it won't be clear. And we want to be doing it on the example data here. So these aren't long enough. This is the index just sliced incorrectly. You got 199, 200, 208. Yeah, so the suggestion with the sliding window was just it wasn't wide enough, basically. The window wasn't long enough. So now if we change that to the input data, what do we get? Input. It is an input. 1275. So yeah, basically the suggestion that we got was wrong. but that's partly because I didn't specify the number of the size of the window, so there probably should have been something that I declared. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. We did fail fairly catastrophically. We only got one done, but we did it in the speed of like 10, I think it was 20 minutes in total. I think that probably with better descriptions of what we're trying to do in our commands that we're giving to GitHub Copilot, we probably get better responses. It seems like it's good for returning common kind of behavior, but when we're getting into the weeds and kind of get into the finer details, it potentially is not so great, and that you need to be doing a lot of that work for yourself, as you'd normally be doing anyway. So it's not replacing us completely. Anyway, it's interesting to see it working on Advent Code. So you can see that actually it does work fairly well for some of these examples, or for this first example rather. I would imagine that as the month goes on, it would be far more difficult to solve this problem, the problems that you're getting, because they do gradually get more complex as the month goes on. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please give it a like and a subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, or consider subscribing, all that social media rubbish. And I will look forward to speaking to you in another video soon. Okay, bye for now.